Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching from. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about why you can't remember English words when speaking. So, when you're having when you're having conversations in English, when you're meeting new people, maybe when you're writing, it's hard for you to remember them. You go blank and you don't know what to say. Now, if this is the first time you're here on my YouTube channel, welcome. My name's Adriana from EnglishTeacherAdriana.com. I help English learners improve their English, boost their confidence to finally speak English confidently. If you're new here, for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn on notifications so that you get that bell next time I post my next video lesson here on my channel. Now, guys, in this lesson, we're going to go through some mistakes to begin with, because there are some mistakes that a lot of you have made learning vocabulary, and this has really is stopping you from remembering those phrases, those words when having conversations, when writing, when communicating in English. Now, I want to begin with the first mistake. I know a lot of you make this. I've made this mistake in the past learning a foreign language. And that mistake is that you've memorized vocabulary. So maybe in high school, primary school, your teacher told you, hey, okay, so we're going to have a test and you need to learn all the vocabulary related to kitchens. And you were a good student. You remembered all those words. So you learned the words. You even made this other mistake probably. So you learned the word and then you translated the word to your native language. And you're like, okay, that's enough. I know, for example, water in Croatian would be water, voda, and it'd be like, okay, that's enough. Look, this is great if you're going to be a translator, but it's not the best way to learn vocabulary when you want to have conversations, when you want to speak freely, when you want to simply speak fluently like a native. Now, memorizing is a big mistake. Now, another mistake that I sort of feel some of you may be making, especially if you're an intermediate learner. So if you can understand 50 to 70% of what I'm saying here, I feel that you are making this mistake because when I started learning Croatian as a second language, I was like you guys here at the moment. I could understand, I had problems with different accents. I couldn't understand the TV or anything, but I had some knowledge. Now, one mistake I feel is that some of you may be using cue cards, okay? So you know those little cards and you're putting around your house, and for me personally, it just looks really messy and I don't find it to be effective. I just find it to be a waste of time. It creates a mess and my space is just so noisy, especially if you're progressing to from an intermediate to an advanced level. And that's what the level that many of you are here. Don't think there's a need. This could be okay at a beginner level, but at an intermediate to an advanced level, it's not the most effective way. And that's probably why you're forgetting English words when you're having conversations. Now, in saying this, it's not a bad method for beginners, but not the most effective at your level at the moment. Now, another big mistake why you probably can't remember words is because you're using a bilingual dictionary, okay? So at the moment, if you come across a new word and you're looking up the definition of the word in a bilingual dictionary, so for example, if say Croatian is my native language and I'm learning English and I want to know voda, water, so the voda means water in Croatian and English. Basically, if I'm writing it down like this, looking up the definition, again, I'm training my brain to translate and I'm not learning that word in context. Now, again, in saying this, many of you watching this video, you're an intermediate to an advanced level. Shouldn't be doing this. It's one of the reasons why you can't remember the English words, because simply you haven't used it enough. This actually takes us to my next tip that I have to give you. Basically, one of the biggest reasons why you cannot remember English words is because you haven't been using the vocabulary. So as you've noticed here on my YouTube channel, I like to place an emphasis on you to comment below my videos. Tell me exactly, okay, what words you're struggling to, what words, sometimes I ask you for sentences, sometimes for word suggestions or topics you'd like to see. And this is because it's so important for you to be using the language. I need to learn to breathe a little bit. Anyway, so in saying this, what I wanted to say is that, what did I want to say? This is what I wanted to say. Okay, when you are learning vocabulary, I want you to think of it as you're training for a marathon, okay? So if you want to run a marathon or you want to run 5 kilometers, pretend you can't run 5Ks, but you want to be able to run 5Ks. So what do? You train and you practice. You start using your muscles so that you can run that 5Ks. Now, it's the same with learning vocabulary. If you do want to learn vocabulary, you need to practice using the vocabulary. So you need to use what you're learning. If you're not using that new vocab, you're not going to be able to remember it and you're going to forget it, okay? So, how can you learn vocabulary? That's what I want to go through now. I'm just going through the chats at the moment. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, Atio Brita Tavis. That's very nice of you. I really appreciate that. For those of you who are joining live, thank you all of you for your support here on my channel. I really appreciate it. Can you tell me in the comments, in the chat box here, if you have any questions about learning vocabulary, about forgetting English words, I want to keep it a little bit on topic today. Do let me know here in the chat. I'm actually choosing this topic because this was a question I was asked a lot in my last live stream. What is happening with my English? Sorry, I've been recording a lot of videos, so because of that. Anyway, guys, if you have any questions about vocab, leave them there. And if I start sneezing, I do apologize. I don't know, I think I'm coming down with the flu or something. Okay, so I want to continue and talk a little bit about vocabulary, and we've gone through the problems a little bit. So just to recap about why you can't remember the words: you were memorizing too much, you translated too much, you used a bilingual dictionary, and some of you were cue cards. Cue cards is not something you need to do. But what can you do to learn your vocabulary, okay, and to remember it? One thing that I really suggest that you do, if you come across a new word, you come across a new word, and you want to know what it means, look it up in English. Now, I know a lot of you are going to tell me, okay, Adriana, what's the best dictionary? Best dictionary? Now, the best dictionary for you to use is actually free, and it's called Google, okay? So we all have access to Google. In the Google search bar, all I want you to type is the word define, so DEFINE, and then the word that you want to find the definition for. So for example, I'm going to put it in the chat box here. So let's say define mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? Okay, so for example, we always type define and then we put the word that we want to define. This is a free dictionary, guys, okay, on Google. Use this on Google. Not only when you do this, not only do you get the definition of the word, but you also get example sentences. Now, it's not enough for you just to be looking at the word and looking at the definition. Go through the example sentences. Go through the example sentences, see what they say there, and then that way you'll also see how to use that word. So let me give you an example. I can't think of one now. I should have prepared that before. But anyway, there's a lot of words that I go to look up in English, and if I were to translate them to Croatian when I'm speaking, they're not the best fit to be using in that situation, and vice versa. So some words I use in Croatian, I can't use in English. Now, that's why it's so important not to be using I always get confused with these two. A bilingual dictionary, you need to be using a monolingual dictionary, and I suggest Google because Google brings you so many example sentences. So instead of just looking up the definition, I suggest that you also read through the example sentences so that you can truly understand the definition of the word, but also how to use the word in which context. Okay, remember how I used that example of training for a 5K run? If you want to train for a run, what do? You need to exercise your muscles. Same thing with vocab. You want to learn a new word, look up the definition in English, look up example sentences in English, and make sure to do this. Now, I'm going to answer one question coming through, and lovely to see you here. And I need to reply to your message. Okay, sorry, and I just remembered that you're here. And what I wanted to say, Anne's been asking great questions in the chat. The first question was, how many English words should we focus on? And what do you mean by how many English words should we focus on? So I see you retracted a comment. I'm going to reword this question because I think I'm going to assume, even though they say if you assume you make an ass out of you and me, but you know I'm just going to do this anyway. And basically, forget about lists. So if you're watching this video and you're expecting me to tell you how many words you need to know, I need to be honest with you and tell you I have no idea, completely no idea how many words I know in the English language. And if you find somebody who can tell you how many words they know in the English language, can you please tell them to just, if you know, can you tell me in the comment section below how many words you know? Because that's just so weird in my opinion. Native English speakers, we don't know how many idioms, collocations, how many phrasal verbs, how many this, that we know. We simply just constantly improve. So let me give you a little bit, a short answer here, Anne. Instead of focusing on how many words you need to learn, focus on immersion, surrounding yourself with the English language. If you hear a word being used over and over again, identify that word, write it down the word, look up the definition as I mentioned before, so using Google to find then that word, have a look at some example sentences, and then make sentences with that. Now, in saying that, this is something that I do all the time. So even though I'm a native English speaker, I like to just, at times in life you feel like, oh, I just sound so dumb and I wanted to sound smarter. Okay, yeah, even I feel like that at times, guys. I'm a native English speaker, but because I'm not living in Australia at the moment, I feel like I need to be more up to date with my language skills. So I'm constantly trying to immerse myself a little bit more in English, and I pick up new words and I try to use them so, I just sound a little bit smarter. Anyway, that's just personal complexes there. But this is what you should be doing as well. I know a lot of my friends do this as well. When we talk about this, I'm like, we know to chit chat, and I'm just like, God, that person just sounds so smart. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, they must be reading a lot and they must be writing and just simply using their language. It's the same with you, okay? So, Anne or anybody else, if you feel like you need to know a set number of words, you don't need to know a set number of words. Start by immersing yourself based on topics that you like. Identify the key words there and just keep using them, okay? All right. Okay, I want to touch back on, there's one comment coming through here. So Nada Mukev says, in some languages there is basic example, verb plus noun. So what is the best book that we can get or buy to learn that basic? You don't need a book. So a lot of people are looking for the best book to learn vocabulary and to just improve their English. Look, guys, for me, I learned Croatian as a second language and I didn't use books at all, okay? Simply just going out there, talking to people, immersing myself in the language. You don't need to use books to improve. What you need to be doing is just simply just using the language. Don't focus on, maybe I should just talk a little bit of talk a little bit more about this in a later live stream. You need to understand why you're learning English, what your goal is related to your interests and your goals, and then that way develop your vocabulary based on that. I will be going into this in a lot more detail in my book. It will be coming out in the next few weeks. You'll find all the details about that in the description below this video. Okay, Accio Brito Tavares. Oh, thank you so much, Accio. Really appreciate this. Okay, Accio says, how to organize the words you learn in a notebook by grammatical classes. Okay, this is a really great question. Accio, I hope, I first of all apologize if I'm saying you're wrong, your name, mispronouncing your name. But can I try and say it in non-English accent? I'm going to try like this. Is it Accio Brito Tavares? Did I try that okay? Anyway, sorry, I just got too excited. Okay, so the question was how to organize the words you learn in a notebook by grammatical classes. What would you suggest? It depends on you. So a lot of questions coming through here and people are saying grammar and like these nouns and there was, I lost it now. But anyway, I wouldn't do it like this. So I don't learn a language based on grammar. So in high school, I learned French And I love the French language. It sounds nice, but because we had so much of a focus on grammar, I'm just like, dude, I just want to be able to speak, get all those words, string it together, and construct a sentence and communicate with people. So, and I find because, especially you, for example, Atsio, you can understand me at the moment. And I'm sure that you are a great person and you have many interests, so many topics, hobbies that you love. So instead of focusing on rules, on grammar, and on language, focus on your interests and topics that you talk about. So, for example, I have a phrasal verb course in my Fluency Academy, and as you know, there are thousands of phrasal verbs in the English language. But instead of basing this course on topics, different verb groups, etc., what I do is I base this on topics you speak about. So this is the same way that I suggest that you structure your English learning diary or notebook. So for example, you could have a page. Let's just talk about me, for example. I like cooking. So maybe I'd have a page just on cooking, some vocab on cooking. And in that diary notebook, I'd have, for example, the word to fry. For example, fry. I'd have the definition. So to fry means on oil on a saucepan, you cook something. And then I'd have example sentences. So I'd write, I fried 3 eggs this morning. I like to fry my eggs after I have my morning coffee. I don't like eating fried eggs. So in that diary, here you have a topic on food, you have that word, you have the definition in English, of course, and then example sentences. I suggest my topic, okay? And also don't do topics just because I've said this topic or someone else has said this topic. Do it based on you. This is something I'll be talking a lot about. Well, not talking a lot about. I'm going into detail in my fluency book. All the details will be in the description below this video. Basically, you do need to tailor your learning based on your interests, because if it's not based on your interests, you're not going to be motivated. Okay. Actually, did that answer your question? I hope it did. Atio Brito Tavares. Let me know if it did or if it didn't. But I do suggest that you do it like that. Also, what I wanted to say is when you are writing these vocabulary diaries or notebooks, I do also suggest that you read it out loud, because one of the reasons why you can't remember vocabulary is that, it's one thing to be writing it. So to write is a really great way to just train your brain to process a language. But also by speaking, you are already training yourself also to speak. So even though you've written down that sentence, say it out loud. You may sound crazy to your family members. Hey, I may sound crazy to my family members talking to my mobile phone live here on YouTube. But such is life. If you want to improve, there's things that you have to do, okay? Also try to say those words and phrases out loud. Okay. I want to go back to my notes. I had some notes for today. I'm going to go through that. But I have gone through a lot about this. Okay. So I did talk about making sentences, saying these sentences out loud. Did go through this now. And also with vocabulary, one of the biggest mistakes I've also found with myself. I'm so glad it helps. Ateo Brito Tavares. Oh, I'm so proud. I hope it sounds okay. Anyway, so one of the main problems that I've noticed with myself in the past with vocabulary, say there's some words that I want to use, even English words, just to sound a little bit smarter, especially when speaking, when I'm recording these videos and I listen to myself and I'm just like, gosh, I should have used this word, not that word. I should have said this. I should have. Anyway, I'm just getting tired and I'm not using the right vocabulary. Basically, one of the reasons why maybe I'm not using that vocabulary, especially in Croatian when I'm speaking, is because I haven't used it enough, practiced it in situations before so that I'm ready to use it out in the real world. Let me give you an example. 12 years ago when I was taking my VCE. So back in Australia, 15 years ago, I finished high school. Anyway, 15 years ago when I finished high school, we had the English exam, and then it was for VCE, and I wanted to get a high enter score. And I remember there was this one word that my friend was always using. She was using the word in juxtaposition. In juxtaposition. I'll write it here. I hope juxtaposition. And I thought this was just such a smart word. And I really wanted to use it. I remember then looking up this word, looking up how it's used, because if you use this word wrong in different situations, it can just sound so silly. So by doing that research and just getting more familiar with when I can use that word, when I can't use that word, I'm just so proud that now today, in this setting on our YouTube live, I wouldn't use this word, but in really formal presentations and settings, then I can quite comfortably use this word. But that's because I did this preparation, what I'm suggesting to you now. So if you're forgetting words and if you find yourself in a situation like, for example, here me live, like, darn, why didn't I say that word? It's probably because you haven't done the preparation to enable you to remember it and to use it. It's all about preparation. You want to get muscles? You lift weights, you watch your diet. You want to remember words? You write them down, you say them out loud, you use them, you speak, you use them in conversations. Okay, I'm exhausted. I feel like I just ran a marathon. Guys, that would be all for today. I am thinking of doing these live streams a little bit more frequently. So on Friday, I'll be posting a video here on my YouTube channel. If you do have any suggestions for any topics you'd like me to talk about, please do leave them in the comments below this video. Once again, thank you to each and every one of you for joining this live stream, for being here on my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. I hope these tips can help you. Remember, I can teach you here and guide you, but ultimately it is up to you what you decide to do consistently every day to help you achieve your goals in English language. Now, if you would like to continue learning with me, make sure to download my free audio guide. You'll find that in the description below this video, where I share with you exactly what you need to do every single day to drastically improve your confidence speaking in English. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in my next lesson. Bye for now.